was aware of it, but I didn't think it was an issue. I thought it was one of those things like I could quit anytime. Like, this isn't an eating disorder, I just have disordered eating. I'm Elle Magnuson, and I'm born and raised in Salem, Oregon.
So, when did you officially start ballet?
I started when I was 3. A lot of people, they dance to express themselves and everything, and I loved the precision and the rules and how there was always a place that you had to be in, and I loved trying to be in that place. And I don't know, I just loved all the rules to ballet. Yeah, I want to do that as a career. I want to be a professional, and it was at that point where I really started to idolize certain dancers, and not just ballet as a whole, but Svetlana Zakharova. I wanted to be like her. I want to do that. And so that's when I kind of decided I'm going to be professional. And once I set my mind on it, there was no telling me any different. Yeah, I think it didn't really click for me that dancers were skinny until then. And then I started realizing none of these women that I'm idolizing have a single ounce of body fat on them. They're all rail thin. And you want to look like them as far as their dancing goes, and then it just kind of, you get wrapped up in it and you want to just look like them, period. So you want their feet, you want their legs, you want their everything, and just the thinness comes with that. I don't think I've ever, until recently, I don't think I was ever happy with my body. Ever since I was probably 11, I was never happy with my body, and I always, I'd lose 5 pounds and be like, it doesn't look like it. And it wasn't until probably I was 15, and that was really scary for me. And I was dancing with Eugene Ballet Company at that time, and that was the first time that I had really moved out on my own. I was living with a roommate down in Eugene, and the fact that nobody was watching me eat and I didn't have to hide my disordered behaviors, it kind of got a little carried away.
Well, how many calories were you consuming a day?
Around 300.
Oh my gosh,
300 to 400, and I was dancing about 8 hours a day. The health issues, they didn't get really bad until that year, and that's kind of what scared me. The headaches, the not sleeping, and I'd get dizzy all the time. I passed out a few times, and I'd feel myself getting dizzy in class, so I'd excuse myself from class and run to the dressing room before I passed out in class so that nobody could see me pass out and know that it was an issue. Well, it was all during spring break. I came home after performing Swan Lake with Eugene Ballet Company in March, and I came home for 2 weeks for spring break. But I gained weight naturally because I had to put on that show for my parents, and I had a mental collapse. I freaked out when it came time to go back because I had gained, I think it was 3.5 pounds, and I just lost it. I could not even picture myself in a leotard. It made me so scared. I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to look at myself in the mirrors. I avoided all the mirrors in my house. I gained 3.5 pounds, and that was the end of my world. That's when I took a step back and realized you are freaking out over 3.5 pounds. Are you serious? And then I went to my parents and I was like, there is something wrong. I need help. Decided I was happy not in ballet. I was, we're still working on my recovery, and I knew that needed a lot of my attention and energy. And I kind of came to the realization that I wasn't dying without ballet. I wasn't, my whole life wasn't crashing around me because I wasn't in the studio, so I figured, this isn't so bad. Maybe I'll try something else for a while. But I don't know, the relapses were really hard because people wouldn't really see those as much, so those were more of a personal battle than the rest of it. Probably 6 months into the recovery process before I could come to someone and be like, I'm having a really bad eating day, if I stop eating this halfway through, just tell me to finish it. I feel like recovery is an ongoing process, even if people, I haven't had eating disordered thoughts in a really long time, but I still feel like it's a part of my life, and it could creep up at any moment, and I have to be prepared for that. So I'm always kind of thinking about it. It's always in the back of my mind, and I'll be eating something and I'll be like, remember when this was so difficult and I was in tears over eating this, and I'm like, it's totally fine. If I would say something to her,
yeah.
I'd tell her that things aren't going to turn out how she thinks they are, because I didn't see any hope in anything. I thought that, especially when things were getting bad and I was getting really sick, I didn't think I was going to live to see my 17th birthday. I thought that's where the road was going to end, and at the time I was okay with that because I was so enveloped in the eating disorder, and I just didn't think I was worth anything. And I would tell her that things are going to keep going and they're going to get better and the struggle is going to be worth it. I just finished basic training for the Army, and I'm in the middle of AIT, which is Advanced Individual Training. I'm just home on leave for 2 weeks. I have 7 more weeks of training, and then I'll be stationed in the Utah National Guard. And people keep saying to me, they're like, ballet to the military? Like, what are you thinking? And I'm like, no, honestly, it's so similar. When people yell at you, it's like everybody else gets freaked out by it. I'm like, I've got this. People have yelled at me my whole life, you know? But yeah, all the rules and everything, the uniform, the bun, like, it's basically just ballet and camo.